Hey everybody, this is ChiefKacey, and tonight we have a very special guest tonight. I am joined by the wonderful and lovely Neffertity. How are you doing tonight, Neffertity?
Oh, doing pretty good so far. Just hanging in there, getting what work I can done.
Yeah, sounds good. So to start off this little podcast interview thing we're doing here tonight, I wanted to get the elephant out of the room because it's something that I know happened somewhat recently, and I'm sure you're probably still occasionally getting questions about it. But what exactly happened with your TikTok?
Well, from what I understand, it was a combination of two things. One being a massive mass report that happened from a video that went extremely viral extremely fast. And it was also in part having to do with the algorithm update that TikTok did right around that time, because I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the only creator that suddenly just got vanished off the platform. The algorithm update automatically looks for videos that trigger certain criteria, and it deemed that my videos were a violation of the minor safety community tab, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So I had attempted to appeal it, and after a little over a month, I finally heard back from TikTok, and they basically said, "Yeah, no, sorry, you violated the minor safety guidelines, so you're gonna stay banned. Thanks. Have a good day."
Oh, that's quite unfortunate because you've been doing quite well, and yeah, you had that a video right before that yeah that went viral, and um you were doing very well. Are there any chances that you might try to make a comeback with an alternate account or anything?
Unless my primary account is unbanned, I will not be returning to TikTok.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think anybody can really blame you for that. I mean, there's been a few people, friends of mine even, that have had issues with getting their views just suddenly dropping out of nowhere, or just like, videos they worked hard on getting removed or muted and all that kind of stuff. And there's been some issues with like harassment. That's kind of always been an issue from like the furry haters and whatnot on the platform. So yeah, a lot of people have dropped, but I have noticed that you've been posting a lot of your, I guess, TikToks to your YouTube channel. So you're gonna continue to do that for the foreseeable future?
So far, yes. I have quite a few that I managed to squirrel away and save before I eventually, got removed from the app, but
Mm-hmm.
I did not manage to save them all. So the ones that I do have, I'm slowly trying to distribute at least one a day to my YouTube channel to be able to fill that content and allow people to rewatch those videos again. But if anybody does have some of my videos saved that I might not, particularly a lot of the older ones,
Mm-hmm.
I would greatly appreciate you getting in contact with me so that I can have a bigger collection of them because I definitely don't have them all.
Okay, yeah, and definitely like yeah. So if anybody out there happens to have any of those saved, I'll definitely have your information down there in the description so they can quickly get that over to you. Hopefully, if there's anything they have.
That would be very much appreciated.
Do you think you'll do any other kind of skit type stuff like purely created for YouTube then?
Eventually, yes. So far, there's only one current video that I did with that, and it was an older, kind of goofy one when I was working on a refurb for Salus the Circle, and I
Mm-hmm.
snatched his face off. A lot of people thought it was funny and quirky, but I just haven't had the time to sit down and audio hunt to record new ones.
Mm-hmm.
That's honestly
Yeah.
one of the parts that sucked the worst about losing my TikTok because I audio hunt and I had so many good ones saved for perfect little funny skits and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And YouTube right now is mostly flooded with all of the popular viral account videos.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the audios that are out there are just kind of meh.
Yeah. I kind of had a question yeah related to that because I know like because YouTube now they're trying to also enter into that like shorts videos thing that they've been doing for a while. Do you have access to that yet? Because when I tried on my account, I couldn't see any option really to post straight to YouTube Shorts.
Yes, I do have the shorts menu. However, the interface is really, really bad compared to TikTok.
Mm.
Editing
Okay.
videos in it is just impossible. You're better off recording in a different app entirely and then just
Mhm.
uploading it directly to the shorts program if you have access to it.
Mhm. Okay. Well, that's good. Yeah. I guess for anybody else out there, if you find yourself stranded off of TikTok for any number of issues, maybe something similar happens. That's definitely an avenue. And like skits on YouTube have been a thing since the very early days. So it's not definitely not like out of the ordinary to like be posting those kind of things to YouTube.
The main difference is that YouTube will copyright claim anything that has copyrighted audio. Even just a 2-second snippet, they will claim the video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting thing, because yeah, TikTok so much, they take down a lot of things, but there's a lot of things they don't take down. But YouTube, has been known for their content ID system, which takes down everything. Even like if you have 3 seconds of something, someone will try to claim it and take your video down, or just claim the ad revenue on it, and that can be frustrating.
Still have that issue with my tutorial videos and the big ones that I end up posting to my channel.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube will claim that it's an audio from something else when in fact it's not, and I've never heard of the one that's trying to claim it. So right now I have, I believe, 12 open disputes regarding audio claims that they do not have grounds to claim.
Oh wow,
So
that's quite a
it's
lot.
kind of a pick your poison situation.
Yeah, seriously. Um, so, aside from all that, so what first got you into and interested? Kind of like general good start question. What got you? What was your inspiration for starting and being part of the furry fandom? Was there any kind of media out there, or was there a person that you met or saw?
It's a culmination of a lot of things. I've always been a very artsy fartsy person, and I was mostly active on DeviantArt back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But I started moving to Fur Affinity because I was trying to outbranch and connect more. And I saw a couple posts of people's fursuits and stuff, but I was like, I'm not really a furry. I'm just trying to expand my art business. So don't get the wrong idea of why I'm on Fur Affinity. And
Yeah.
just kept scrolling the main page, which if you ever scroll the main page and you're not really fond of adult content, make sure you have the filter turned on, because there's nothing like logging into that website and going,
Yeah, you go to the front page and you'll see Sonic the Hedgehog and Mario doing something. It's not good. Not for the kids.
oh yes. And I think I was like 16 or 17 when I officially joined FA. So that kind of stuff for me, especially as an ace, was like, yeah, not interested. No, thank you.
Mm,
So I didn't really interact with the fandom too much outside that. But
mm-hmm.
upon browsing YouTube and watching all kinds of art tutorials and stuff, I think I got on a playlist at one point that had some clips of Telephone.
Oh,
And seeing
yeah.
how Telephone interacted with kids, I was like, yeah, I guess that furry's okay. Like, they're not doing anything bad or weird, but I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
the rest of them are just a bunch of weirdos, and they have these conventions they go to, like a bunch of freaks. And
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
I had such a mixed opinion of them back then, because all I had to go on was what I had seen in public posts and forums and things, and I thought, oh, what a bunch of degenerates. Oh, how wrong I was.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I can definitely identify with that. When I first got started, it was kind of a little bit similar thing. I was like, what's fursuits? Because I don't know, somebody I think who might have been a furry once mentioned it to me, and this was probably 15 years ago or something, and I just was I Google searched it or something, and I was like, these fursuits look so weird. It was kind of like that uncanny valley or something. I can kind of understand how some people don't like fursuits sometimes, because especially if the eyes don't move. I think that's what gets a lot of people when something's moving around, and talking even sometimes, but the mouth doesn't move and the eyes don't move. It's just kind of a little bit of uncanny valley sometimes.
It was definitely, I think, something along that for me when I first saw fursuits. And sorry, hiccup. When I first saw fursuits, my brain was automatically like, yeah, I'll never wear anything like that, because that's going to be hot, that's going to be uncomfortable, that's going to be scratchy on my skin, because I used to think that they were just butt naked under their suits.
Butt naked?
Butt naked,
Oh my
dingleberry and
goodness.
everything. And I was like, oh man, no wonder they have the rumors that they all stink, because they're all naked under there. And then, later on, I ended up seeing more and more fursuiter content popping up. I saw lots of videos by Pokari, and
Mm-hmm.
Pokari educating people about the fandom and about fursuiting. And I was like, oh, well, this isn't that bad.
Yeah.
This is kind of cool. And then
Yeah.
as an artist, I wanted to challenge myself. So one day I was like, huh, I wonder how much a fursuit would be because I don't have the skills to make that. At that point, the extent of my maximum ability was sculpting.
Yeah.
That was like as far as I'd go with physical objects. I hadn't even made plushies at the time.
Okay.
And I Google searched how much an average fursuit cost, and I think I looked at Phoenix Nest prices.
Mm-hmm.
About died and had my wallet scream and run when I saw how much they were, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm never going to be able to buy one of those. There's no way. Maybe I can make one, but I don't want to spend a lot of money. I have $100 in saved up birthday money. I'm going to see if I can make an entire head in $100."
All right. Yeah,
I
that's a good
did.
challenge. Yeah.
It wasn't great. It definitely is like a piece of history when I look at it, but I cannot wear it because it's just so poorly made.
Mm-hmm.
But it worked, and it kind of got me started making fursuits, and I thought, huh, this isn't bad. Whatever, I'll wear it to my first convention. Went to BLFC in 2018, and immediately after attending BLFC in 2018 and hearing all these people that were just like, wow, your suit's amazing. Who made it? I did. Oh my gosh, is this like your 20th suit or something? No, it's my first. And just all the positive feedback of people telling me how much they loved my work and how cool it was. I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep doing this. And pretty much from there is where I just went down the massive snowball avalanche that became what it is today.
That's awesome. I guess that's one thing that's one thing a lot of people like about the furry fandom is, yeah, you took this chance, you kind of like, put your heart out there, and people responded very positively, and that like I think that's the best thing about the fandom is when people try things like that and you get that positive feedback. I'm sure that definitely felt really nice.
It definitely has its ups and downs when it comes to feedback, but for the most part, I find that if you seek the positives and you put positive energy out, that's all you will see from within the fandom. It's just support and positivity and welcome and just feeling good and safe wherever you go with
Mm-hmm.
it. But if you interact with the negatives, you'll start to see the negatives. So that's definitely, I guess that's just life with any kind of fandom. Furry is just a fandom that really controls its own, I guess, its own stigma in a way,
Mm-hmm.
because we are the drama llamas. It's what one of the things that we're most well known for is stirring things up. But then you see these good things of people supporting others, raising money for charity, making kids smile. So it's the content you interact with is what you'll see most often.
100%. I totally agree with that. Yeah, it's that's with like pretty much anything in life. You get the energy you put in. A lot of times you'll get that back, and you might sometimes have that. You might get you'll still sometimes get that negative energy back, but it all depends on like what you surround yourself with. You surround yourself with positive people that are the kind of people that you want to be like. I think definitely is good for you.
Absolutely.
Um, and so you said your first convention was in 2018, and that was when you made your first fursuit, right? So you've been making fursuits since 2018.
Yes.
When did you first have your first like official commission?
Early 2019, shortly after I had finished Winza 1.0's head,
Mm-hmm.
a friend of mine named Zeta Raptor approached me. He was a friend of the friend that I'd met at BLFC in 2019, and he expressed interest in wanting a Sergal done. I'd never made a Sergal before, and he showed me a resin base by Dream Vision Creations, and I thought, whoa, that's a very foreign territory for me. I've never worked with resin before. I
Mm-hmm.
had just barely started a dino mask. So at that time, I was nervous, didn't know what to do, didn't know how it was going to turn out. But Salus ended up turning out really cool, and he was my very first official commission that I did. His owner still loves him so much, he has since upgraded him to a full suit, and he recently sent him back to me for a bit of a facelift and a refurb, and now
Mm-hmm.
he looks like he's all grown up, and it's like watching your kid go off to school for the first time for me, and I'm being like, oh, that's my baby.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely see if I can find some. If you have any pictures, you should send to me, and I'll throw them up here so people can see that.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, that's really cool. So do you do fursuit making now full time, or is it a part time thing for you?
It's still currently part time. My primary job that I do is I am a personal caregiver. So I go into elderly or disabled people's homes, help them with day to day life, such as cooking, cleaning, bathing, dressing, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just overall provide companionship so that they don't feel like they're alone.
Oh,
That is my primary job, and that's what I do for most of my living. But at some point, I feel my fursuit making and my art will overtake it and
mm-hmm.
become my full time job. But until that time comes, I'm still managing to do both.
That is that's such a sweet like career. That's really awesome. That's like the kind of stuff that like I admire the kind of people that work and do that kind of stuff because it's so important and it's so like I feel um like the probably a lot of the work you do like goes unnoticed by a lot of people, but like the people that you do that for, I'm sure it means like the absolute world to.
It's definitely a hard job, especially as many years as I've been doing it. I've been a caregiver for almost 7 years now.
Mhm.
And the hardest part is knowing that a lot of these people will not be in your life for much longer, but you will be in the rest of theirs.
And what kind of impact can you have on them in that time?
Hmm.
That's awesome. Um wow, sorry. That I work in like the IT field, but like I've always considered switching over to doing something like that because I feel like it helping people is definitely something that is important to me. Um, so yeah, I just think that's really awesome. Sorry.
You definitely got to have a strong heart for it, that's for sure.
Oh,
They are
definitely.
people, not paychecks. That's the biggest thing I've always believed.
And I'm sure like you know there are also the horror stories of the people who don't see it quite that way and do just see it as like a job. Um, and especially the yeah one thing I wanted to bring up is that like with all the things with disease that have been going on over the last 2 years basically now it feels like how's that impacted your work?
Because a lot of my work that I do is private home care, these
Mm-hmm.
people don't go outside very often. So it
Okay.
hasn't changed at all, aside from the fact that when the few times that we do get to go out, because they can't be cooped up all the time, so I provide transportation to even just go to the store and go shopping.
Mm-hmm.
It's always fully masked. We made sure that we got vaccinated as soon as it was available and just trying to avoid heavily populated areas. So unfortunately, having to cancel little excursions and trips to things like Grand Canyon or the Sequoia National Park. It's difficult to have to cut out those kind of experiences in life, especially for a person who you don't know how much longer they have.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole ordeal has really affected their mental health in that state.
Mm. Well, I'm glad that at least you've been able to help be there for them and make that a little bit easier. um to move on to a little bit something different, something I've kind of always thought about, because I've seen people make some videos and stuff about this topic, is like how often do you ever get people who try to like haggle with you on prices for commissions and like whether it's art or like fursuit stuff?
On a weekly basis.
Yeah, because
Unfortunately, there will always be people that will try and find a way around something, whether it's,
mm-hmm,
oh, well, what if I provide the materials? What if I make the base? What if I do this? What if I do that? Well, what if instead of doing it to this quality, you reduce your quality? Can I get away with it being cheaper then? And it's like, no, prices are set the way they are for specific reasons.
mm-hmm,
I rarely accept materials or bases provided to me without verification of them because once and only once I had somebody send me I can't even describe how bad the head base was. It looked like they had used an old couch cushion from like the 60s
Oh,
and tried to turn it into a fursuit head, and
oh
it
my goodness.
was just awful hot glue cardboard mess, and the fur that they sent me was from Walmart. So it was atrocious quality of materials, and they
Yeah.
expressed that it was high quality when I initially got it in the mail. Found out it was not quite high quality as they described, and just refunded the project and sent all the stuff back.
Yeah, that's sometimes when, you have those projects that when there's a disagreement, sometimes it's good to just be like, "All right, here's your stuff back. I don't think we can work together." And I think that's probably an important thing for a lot of artists and creators to learn, is when to know when to step back.
Definitely. It's difficult if you're in a situation where you need the money from the commissions, but I can tell you from personal experience, if you're dealing with a problematic client that is making the whole project seem not worth it, just take the loss and cut them out, refund their project, and do not accept anything else from that person in the future, because the genuine people who do want to support your work will come forward to fill that void.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so kind of on the opposite end of that, um, what do you think about like tipping on commissions? Do you think it's different for art versus fursuits? And do you ever expect anybody to give you tips?
Tipping is the biggest blessing that you can ever give to any kind of artist or fursuit maker, because it says, I not only value your work enough that I'm going to pay your price, but I value your work so much that here is what I believe it is worth. And then they tip however much they feel comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
I never expect to be tipped. So whenever I do, I'm a big crying mess of like, oh my God, what did I do to deserve this? I hope I have met your expectations. And it's
Yeah.
like, I'm always so grateful and thankful when people do tip,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not something that I expect them to do, especially if they're on a budget. It's one of those things where if you go to a restaurant and 20% is what you're generally expected to tip, there are some people that will judge every little service and then sort of knock off part of their tip. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, you were late getting my food out. Oh, my food doesn't look the way I thought it would. And my drinks were slow. I didn't like this. And then they just decrease, decrease, decrease until eventually there's just like, well, I don't think you earned your tip. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like tips aren't something that are earned. That is something that the buyer decides that they want to give. And from my personal experience, the artists that I've commissioned in the past to do artwork for me, whenever I tip them, they have the same reaction I do when people tip me, of just sheer gratitude. They do not expect it, but they appreciate it above and beyond. And I find oftentimes it does result in the piece they produce being much better, and they are much happier to accept future commissions from you because they
Mm-hmm.
know you're a good tipper.
Yeah, definitely. Like there's some artists that I commission frequently, and I feel like they definitely undercharge, and so I'm always like, "Hey, here's you take this." Like whenever they tell me whatever the commission is, I always like add it, double it, or whatever I can.
It
Cuz I
it always is important and it
mhm,
means a lot to them.
definitely. Um continuing along that line of commissions, what is your biggest pet peeve when working with a commissioner for fursuits?
Indecisiveness. That is honestly a killer, especially when it comes to fursuits. The biggest thing is somebody will come to me with a ref sheet that has colors on it that don't exist in fur.
Mm-hmm.
This is a issue because there's just materials that do not exist in that color yet. There's always new ones being added by companies like Howl and Big Z, but certain colors and shades just they do not exist in the world. And I've had to tell people before, "Hey, this color doesn't exist. Here's a couple suggestions that I think are close matches. Which one do you want? I don't know, you pick. It's your money. Please decide which one of these you want me to use, because I don't want to pick the one that I think looks good and then you not be satisfied with the end result.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care. We'll just do whatever. I pick the one I think works. I show them the work in progress and they go, actually, can we change it to the other one? I think I like the other one better. Indecisiveness. I
Mm-hmm.
despise indecisiveness.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess that's a word to the word out there. If you're thinking about commissioning, Neffertiti or any other fursuit maker or artist out there, it's like definitely like um, I would definitely even start like, yeah, like looking around, seeing like from um, the fursuit fur suppliers, like look for colors that you can match, because that's what I try to do too when I've done some commissions in the past. Is I will go and actually look, because I do have a friend who makes fursuits, and I use like some of this to go to some websites she does, and just kind of like go and scout out like, oh, I think this color might be good, so I can like especially for future commissions, suggest like this one, because I think a lot of fursuit makers would probably definitely appreciate that, like, and also
That is
knowing.
a huge help when people can do that. Come
Hmm.
to the fursuit maker with the particular colors that you want and do more than just like Google search the colors of fur and be like, screenshot that color. Because some of them don't exist anymore. Those listings are like 10 years old.
Hmm.
So definitely come in with links and see what is currently available.
Yeah, and sometimes the colors can be different too from like what you see on the screen and then what you get in your hand. So swatches are important too. Like order
Oh,
swatches.
yes. I have a horror story of that.
Oh.
Uh, I ordered one swatch from Big Z Fabric about a year and a half ago
Mm-hmm.
of what should have been a mulberry purple. It was a very red undertone, vibrant, saturated purple. What I got in the mail was a swatch that looked like what they had online, and I thought, okay, that works. I'll go ahead and I'll order what I need.
Mm-hmm.
3 yards of that purple. For those who don't know how much fur costs, that was like $150 after shipping.
Oh yeah.
That's a lot of money. As a starting fursuit maker, that was a lot for me. And when I got my box in the mail and unboxed it, it was royal purple.
Mm.
It was almost indigo. It was so royal purple. And I was like, oh, that's not going to work at all. And they don't accept returns or exchanges. So now I'm stuck with it. And I still have it to this day.
Mm. How long ago was that?
About a year and a half ago.
Okay, so yeah, around when you were first getting started. Yeah, when you said you're new maker.
Yep. So I learned the importance right then and there that you cannot always trust what you see on screen
Mm-hmm.
and verify exactly what your swatch is when you order it.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And something I know, some friends of mine have had issues with is like last minute changes in designs. Have you ever had issues with that before?
Not yet. Thankfully, most of my clients have been very understanding and they've been very flexible about working around certain things. The biggest is that certain details are just impossible to achieve, like full
Mm-hmm.
body gradations. They're not possible. You can kind of get away with it with certain shades of furs because you can transition one into the other and then just kind of airbrush the joint where the two of them meet, and it makes it look a little bit more convincing. But full rainbow gradations are just not physically possible. And I've once or twice had people that were like, oh, well, can you sew each individual color? Technically, yes, but you're going to notice a massive increase in the labor price for that. At which point they were like, okay, let's just change the design a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's good that they're willing to change. Um, have you ever gotten any requests for fursuits that you thought were a little weird, like maybe like a very specific feature or design?
Yes, some were like, oh, that's interesting, and others were like, oh, oh, okay. Okay. Some of the interesting ones were a character that had butt wings, which I think is a feature on characters that I am obsessed with, and I really want to make a suit for a character that has butt wings because seeing them mounted on the hips like that. If you've ever played the game Mugen, there's a character called Morrigan, and she has butt wings, and they are just so cool looking. I want to do a suit with that feature just because I feel like with every footstep, these wings would bounce and move, and it creates visual attraction to where your eyes just go straight to that detail.
Yeah.
That was a cool thing. However, there's also been people that have been like, hey, yeah, can you install special bits on my character? And I'm like, you probably should read my terms of service because I don't make those kind of suits. Are you sure? I'd be willing to send you some good money. Like, no, thank you. I'm good. I think I'll pass. Here's a ref sheet of my dong. No!
Yes, please don't. That for anything you're commissioning, don't ever send NSFW refs that without consent first.
Yeah, unless you're explicitly starting off the conversation with, hello, I'm looking to purchase some adult content. Are you okay with this? And the artist responds with yes. Please don't send not safe for work stuff to an artist just without the blue. Like, you can put a sticker on it and censor it if that's the only ref you have. But please don't just randomly send stuff like that, because I've been in public checking work emails and then been like, quickly stash the phone in my pocket and be like, I hope nobody saw that.
Yeah.
Don't put an artist in that situation. That's awkward. So
Yeah.
that's been probably the weirdest request I've ever gotten, other than people asking the impossible of, can you make a fursuit that stands on its hind legs normally, but then when I shift into quad mode, it becomes a quad suit? And I'm like, I don't think that's humanly possible.
Transformer suit.
Something.
Yeah. So with fursuit making, do you have a particular part of that process that you really enjoy?
I really, really like doing small details. Tiny things like adding small spikes or horns or feathers, adding itty bitty little color gradations or sparkles in the eyes. If there's like a tiny little marking, I had one where a character had a bunch of spots, and one particular spot was a heart that was just mixed
Oh,
into all the other spots. And it was like little things like that makes my brain happy.
that's
I
cute.
like the construction process that goes into it, and then you see the finished version, and it looks
Mm-hmm.
so cool and so nice, and it makes my brain happy.
Yeah, that's really cool. Um, yeah, especially like even though that can be, I'm sure like some of those details can be a little time consuming. Yeah, seeing that end product makes it all worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you have any advice for people getting into fursuit making for the first time?
The biggest advice I can give you is two things. YouTube is your best friend. There are so many tutorials on YouTube that can help you get a basis of information. Don't just watch one tutorial and go, I'm educated, I'm gonna make it now. Watch as many on the subject as you possibly can and build your own information off of them, because some of them are great, some of them are not so great. And I really wish the people that made the not so great ones would do the responsible thing and take them down, because they are providing very bad information. Like, there's still one out there that tells you you can use cardboard in your fursuit head.
Hmm.
Please don't do that. That's seriously bad.
Yeah.
The other thing is, you can save money by doing certain things cheaper, but there are certain things you do not want to cut corners on when it comes to materials. The biggest being foam. You can get cheap foam brand new from Walmart for like a big, huge 1-inch roll you will get for $15. That's it. That's brand new. It's fine. Please don't use your old memory foam mattress from the 90s to make your fursuit head. That you can't imagine the amount of dead skin and grossness that is inside that old foam. Please don't use old foam.
Yeah, my wife and I, we have an old like mattress topper that we used for a couple years. I've always almost wondered about like if I could make a fursuit hit with that, but I wouldn't sell it. But it'd just be like, I wonder if I could do that just as like a testing. But yeah, that might be a little gross.
Yeah, I would not recommend it. I mean, if you ever, just out of curiosity, I can't remember the channel off the top of my head, but there is a YouTube channel that is dedicated to showing people the grossness that we live
Mm-hmm.
with every day. And they did an episode where they showed bed toppers. And they were like, this bed topper has been used for 1 week by one person who showered every night before bed. This is what it looks like under a microscope. And you see all the
Mm,
bacteria and the dead skin cells and the dust mites and just all this stuff in it. And it's like,
yeah.
that's what you're sleeping on. You think it's clean, but it's not that clean. Even after you wash it, it doesn't always go away. So,
Mm-hmm.
not a good idea to use stuff that you've slept on or been humaning on because it's going to be gross. Even fursuit heads, like wearing them on your head, you shed dead skin cells from your head, you shed dandruff, you shed sweat and yuck. That's why it's so important to thoroughly clean the inside of fursuit heads so that you don't stank.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. And do you line the inside of your heads?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It depends entirely on personal preference
Mm-hmm.
because I always wear a balaclava whether the head is lined or unlined. The balaclava acts as the separator.
Right.
Personally, I hate lined heads because they're so much hotter and they're so much harder to clean because you really have to get in there to get the gunk out from between the lycra layer and the foam layer. It's a hassle, it's a pain to repair, it's just overall a pain. I would much rather have my heads unlined and wear a balaclava.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point because like my fursuit head, Casey, is a lined head, and I do kind of like that for because it's like sometimes I feel like I don't have to like always remember to have my balaclava with me if I just want to like throw it on for a short period of time. Because normally, yeah, I'll have like all since it's lined, I'll still actually wear a balaclava, so there's like hopefully it'll help keep it extra clean in there. Um, but yeah, I'm sure there's probably I clean it regularly, but I'm sure there's probably some bits that maybe it's not getting all the way through. Now that you mentioned that, it's something that I might have to like look into some more.
It's a real toss up. That's why whenever people order heads from me, I give them the option of whether they want it lined or not. I don't have it be a set standard because I also know there's some people that have really bad heat tolerance and a lining increases the heat by at least 25%.
That's a pretty good amount.
It don't seem like a lot, but when you're already, 100 degrees inside a fursuit head and the
Mm-hmm.
lining adds an additional 10 degrees on top, that's a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that is a lot. Yeah. All right. Well, now let's move on to some fan questions.
Ooh.
So we got a few questions here for you. Question number one from Tank the Lion. How do you keep yourself positive and motivated when working on your suits or just while making any furry content in general? Is the first question. Then they have a second question.
Okay. Uh, Music is a great way to motivate myself. Sometimes putting on a type of music, depending on the project you're working on, can really motivate you. If I'm doing a character that's got lots of like teeth and snarls and the character has like a very dubstep vibe, I'll put on some hard dubstep and just and it gets me in the mood. It gets the vibes flowing. If I'm doing a more serene, calm character, I'll put on like an official soundtrack from Breath of the Wild or something because just hearing that soft melodic music puts my
Mm-hmm.
brain in a good mindset and it helps me stay focused and not get so bored with the monotonous repetitive content that I'm working on.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. So you basically, yeah, you theme your music to your fursuit making. That's really interesting. You're basically almost kind of like somewhat making a playlist of like the theme of that fursuit. That's really cool.
Pretty much. I think there's a special condition. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head because it's one of those disease or disorders that are ridiculously long names.
Mm-hmm.
But it's where you hear sound and your brain translates the sound into images. And it motivates you as you're working to just perceive the sounds and the different melodies into physical artwork, and I find it does affect my work in the end. So if I use the wrong music when I'm working on something, it ends up looking kind of like a weird hybridization of two different things.
That's interesting. Hmm. All right. Second question that they have is, do you have a schedule or anything to help you stay on track?
Schedules are for responsible people. I'm not very responsible. I wake up and I decide, you know what? I think I'm gonna work right now. I'll work
Mm-hmm.
for like 2, 3 hours, then I'll be like, me, I'm done with it. I'm gonna go swimming or I'm gonna make a snack. I'll
Yeah.
watch Netflix, I'll play on my phone, and then I'll be up until 2 o'clock in the morning working on something, being like, gosh, I should probably set a schedule for this.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, I'm zero help there whatsoever. I am chaotic gremlin when it comes to work schedules.
All right. I think that's totally fair because everybody has their own the way they work, uh, and it's I guess fursuit making is also not your full time job, so that I'm sure that also makes it a little different.
It definitely does.
Yeah. Minty Coco asks, what has helped you continue being a content creator over this past year?
Gonna go very like OG sentimental YouTuber response with this one because it's very true. My fans and followers. I read every single comment. I see every piece of fan art. Seeing the feedback and the way that people talk about my work and talk about the things that I do and talk about me, both the good and the bad, it helps me to take that criticism and work with it and improve. So every single response from my fans helps build my content for the future and helps me improve.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a very sweet answer.
It's true, I promise.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think like for me, um, I don't have too many comments yet or anything like that for me, but um, I think it's definitely just yeah. When you do get those comments, though, it is really nice. Even if it's not always I guess you could say like sometimes they're not all. It could be different kinds of comments that you're getting. Questions or saying about what they think about your whatever you're making or whatever. But just even getting those comments at all is always kind of nice and nice to read them. Um, Ruby asks, is there anybody you would like to collaborate with, whether on YouTube or with fursuit making or anything?
Oh, so many. For YouTube collaborations, if I could animate, which I suck at, I would love to work with. I think they changed their name to Blaze Animates. They used to be Blaze the Fire Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Their animations just inspire the heck out of me, and I'm immediately like, I can't animate, but I want to. And they inspire me so much. So doing some kind of an animation collab with them would be incredible. As for fursuit making, oh, what I would give to do a collab suit between Beauty the Bass and I think the combination of
Oh,
my hyper toony, detailed, vibrant colored style and the way that they do their work would be like, oh my God, I can't even imagine how cool that would look.
oh, that would be awesome. And maybe like, cause I know like they also like to implement different things into their suits and like coming up with ideas for all different things you do like the speakers and stuff is all really cool.
Imagine the two of us doing an amp wave
Oh, ho, ho.
or a protogen. Oh, the ideas.
That'd be awesome. All right. So just to kind of like wrap it up a little bit, um, what are your goals for fursuit making and content creation in the future? Like, do you have like any things that you're currently like, anything that you might be using as like a motivator? Like, oh, I want to get to this point.
Oh, definitely. Couple of the big achievements I'd like to strive for is I want to make Neffertity 2.0. Oh, I'm noticing fractalization on my internet call. Did it kill?
Nope, you're good.
Oh, okay. It's just your screen froze on my end. I was like, oh, please no.
Oh, okay, no, and I think the recording's still good.
Okay. So, reiterating that, I would like to do Nefertiti 2.0 in roughly 5 years since I started making fursuits to kind of show like the first suit I ever made versus the
Mm-hmm.
most recent suit I would make, and then have them be the same character so that people can really see the visual example of the two compared to each other. I would like to attempt a hyper-realism suit, something that blurs the line between is that a costume or is that a creature? I
That'd be
really
cool.
want to do that. And I would really like to do something outlandish and crazy, maybe attempting a species that nobody else has attempted before, or trying to do a quad suit. Just something that will push my abilities as far as they can possibly go.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely a goal to strive for.
That's awesome. There's not even that many people that have made quad suits before.
It's a very short list. Beast Cub, I think, makes the most of them.
Yeah, I don't personally. I don't even like actually know anybody who does. I guess other than the person you just mentioned. Yeah, that's quite an undertaking. But yeah. So thank you, Nefertiti, so much for coming and chatting with me tonight. Originally, we were going to be doing this at Philadelphia, but it's conventions. Things happen, schedules fluctuate, and so I really appreciate that you did agree to come on here online. Now we got a chance to chat.
Of course. Minor correction, though, it was Megaplex, not Philadelphia.
Dang it, I did that. Oh, Megaplex. Yes, I don't know why it's
I
because it's a
wanted
little.
to go to Philadelphia, but it was just too far and too soon and too much going on.
Yes. So sorry. Yes. Correction. Megaplex, which was a really good convention. Did you have a good time there?
For the most part, yeah, I definitely had a good time. Disappointed with a few things, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I know there were some issues that other people have talked about. Um, won't address that here, but yeah, we But other than that, it's just like hanging out with my friends, had a good time, and hopefully you had a good time. I saw you had your mermaid tail out there.
Indeed, I did. I went swimming at the pool several times.
Yeah. It's.
Florida weather. Ugh,
Mm-hmm.
humidity. It's definitely not built for fursuits.
Mm-hmm. But at least they had a really nice pool.
They did indeed.
All right. Well, I will catch you guys in the next episode. This is ChiefKacey and Neffertiti out. Bye.
Toodly doodles!